So look, welcome to this workshop, called it Instant Cash Injection. We've been having a few questions recently from clients, from recruitment and search consultants that we help, just around cash flow, right? So obviously, we've got probably recession coming up. Cash flow is going to be a big thing that you need to pay close attention to. Well, always, but now especially if there's going to be a contracting market, cash flow is one of the key areas you need to look at with business. And I think me and Terry have been doing this for me for sort of 12 years, Terry for what, 30 years, 20, well, yeah, a long time.
A long time, yeah.
Multiple contracting markets where whether it's recession, whether it's COVID, where there things have where things of opportunities have decreased. And what we're seeing time and time again is it's not the businesses. It's often you think a business fails because of lack of revenue, but what we've seen more often is because of lack of cash flow. So you can get a business that's doing really, really, really well revenue wise, but they will struggle, or worst cases fail or close down completely, not because of revenue, not because of their inability to win business, but their inability to manage cash or get cash in fast enough, right? So bottom line is, if you have outgoings that are due faster than you can get the money in, then you're going to cause major problems for your business. And often people think, especially when starting out, that cash flow is a challenge that you can outgrow. That okay, if this be more business, if I just keep growing, keep running, keep going faster and faster, then eventually I won't have these cash flow problems. But again, what we found is that if these problems aren't sort of fixed or gets mitigated early doors, the bigger you grow, you still have those same challenges, and I guess the more dangerous they are as well, right? So one thing having cash flow challenges is when it's you and you're a solo recruiter. So the bigger you go, obviously got more overheads, more responsibility, more consequences if a bill's late or can't meet payroll or whatever it is, and it actually becomes a bigger headache. But sort of, I guess the good news is that most of the time, for the recruitment search consultants that we speak to day in day out, if you're a business owner right now who has cash flow issues in your business, what we found is most cash flow issues that you will face are self-inflicted and completely avoidable if you're doing the things that we're going to be talking about today. Terry, anything you want to add to that?
No, just I guess as you said that, it's self-inflicted and can be avoided. I know that sounds somewhat provocative, and you may be thinking that sitting there listening to that, thinking, how dare he say that? But I promise you, and the other thing I want to add to that, the moment that you take responsibility for it and you say, actually, I'm 100% responsible for the cash flow in my business, is the moment that you'll do something about it. So if you've taken offense to that and you're now what we call playing the victim, saying, yeah, but you don't understand, I can't do anything about this, you've got real challenges. What we found with the real top achievers, what they do is they just take 100% responsibility for everything going on in their business. Haven't got enough business, they take responsibility. Working with a lousy client, they take responsibility. Lousy cash flow, yeah, you got it, they take 100% responsibility. So I think that's a real important mental factor, that you take 100% responsibility for everything going on in your business right now. There's talk of a recession. In fact, we're virtually in the recession in the UK right now. We can't do anything about the recession, but what we can do think about is what you do to get business and grow your business and handle your cash flow. And this is what this is all about. This is about taking responsibility, 100% responsibility for your cash flow and improving your cash flow. Cheers, Drew.
So this is going to be a very quick 30-minute training. So I've got about 25 minutes left, where I'm going to be walking you through some of the 5 of the key areas of what we call these 5 cash flow levers, right? So whenever we work with a new client, or for us, a recruitment or search owner, and we want to help them with the cash flow, there's only 5 areas that we work on. I just want to run through for you very quickly those 5 areas, what you can be doing about them, just making sure you're aware. So what I would do, again, we've got 25 minutes, probably 25-30 minutes left. Grab a pen and pen and pencil, and some paper, something to take notes. We're going to be giving you the high level strategy in terms of what to look at, and I guess set some action steps for yourself after this call. And if you want to know more, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/start, if you want to have sort of a more personalized deep dive in your business, your own personal business, there's a short application form to fill out there. So that's makemoreplacements.com/start. Fill out the short survey, and then you can book a one-on-one call with one of our advisors, where they'll look into your personal business in terms of managing your own cash flow, improving your cash flow. But I'm going to give you the high level view today. So these are the 5 sort of cash flow levers that we look at, right? So key number 1, and probably the one that, most people look at or focus on when it comes to improving cash flow, is to increase sales, right? So most obvious one, if you've got, if you wake up tomorrow or you find yourself in a position where you have cash flow issues, look at the bank account and there's not cash there, but you've got outgoings come in, you've got, you want to pay yourself, your staff, whatever it is. The number 1 way to improve cash flow, or the most obvious way, is to increase sales, right? So it's the most obvious thing. Then the more business you bring in, the more sales you make. Obviously, assuming you get paid for the work you do, it's going to improve your cash flow. So that being said, this is something you should be doing anyway, but especially in a market when it's contracting or things are going to get more difficult or could potentially get more difficult. 2 things. 1, you need to be continuously looking at how you can improve your business development, right? So Terry will confirm this. Like, so many times we speak to a recruitment persona, masses of experience, right? Perhaps 20, 30 years under their belt, working in a firm, previous working in a firm, they started their own business. They're still doing the business development ideas and strategies they got from their previous business they worked for, and never really spend any time developing or advancing that skill. So never get better results, right? It's something you need to be doing anyway, improving your business development, but especially when the market is contracting and things can get more difficult. Of course, if there's going to be less opportunities, you need to get better at marketing and sales in order to still maintain or grow your business. So one thing is to continuously get better at the skill of it. Second thing that we see, a big mistake that people make when it comes to growing a business, when it comes to improving cash flow, is they cut back on business development investments. So anything that anywhere in your business right now where you're investing money to generate you more business, if it's working, assuming it is actually working and bringing you business, then you want to avoid cutting back on that. All right. Sometimes when you have cash flow issues, the immediate thing is, where can I reduce expenses? And sometimes we're doing it in the wrong areas and doing it in areas where it's not an expense, it's an investment. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, it reminds me of a story that I'm sure you've heard before, Drew, but 2 headhunters backpacking through some woods in Canada. So these 2 headhunters are strolling along. As they're strolling along, they hear some rustling in the background. They stop, they listen. They then take a real close look and they realize there's a grizzly bear about 150 yards behind them and getting closer and closer. So these 2 recruiters, they start running and they're running like crazy to get out of the way of the grizzly bear. After about 20 yards, one of the headhunters stops, unpacks his rucksack and takes out his training shoes. And the other headhunter says, "What are you doing? You crazy? You're never going to outrun this grizzly bear." And the headhunter says, "I don't have to. I just have to outrun you." And the point I'm making is the market's contracting right now. It doesn't matter how good you are as a recruiter. All you've got to do is outmarket, outsell your main competitors in your market. And if you do nothing about it, all that happens is your competitors, they put their training shoes on, and you're the ones going to get caught by the grizzly bear. You're the ones going to get caught in this recession if you do nothing about bringing in new business. And whatever you say, whatever you think, you will acknowledge at some level the market is contracting right now, and things are going to get tougher. So you kind of know intellectually that if you keep doing what you're doing now, you're going to kind of get the same results, or in fact, as the market's contracting, things are going to get a lot worse if you keep doing what you're doing now. So you really need to be thinking about this and thinking, what can I do to outrun my competitors? Because if they put their trainers on, you're going to have major challenges in your business. Back to you, Drew.
Awesome. So key number 1 is increase sales. Number 2, and we sort of touched on it there, is cash flow. Key number 2 is to reduce expenses or reduce cut overheads. Again, it's one of the most obvious ones. Like I mentioned it before. You reduce the money going out, increase the money coming in. Obviously, your cash flow is going to improve. I think a few things on this. One, make sure you cut back on areas where it's not giving you a return, right? And I think sometimes when you own a business, no matter how big the business is, we see the same thing time and time again, where you just incur these expenses that you don't not really benefiting from. That could be software, could be an employee, could be literally anything you have. Could be actually like even a credit card that you have where the interest you're paying, or a loan you have the interest paying is higher than it needs to be, and you could actually refinance that and get a better interest, right? But we all have these, incur or build up these expenses where, when things are going good, the things you don't notice, right? It could be a small expense, and the things you don't notice. But then, as we're saying, when things contract, you begin to notice it. These are things you want to be looking at. So look at your bank statement, look at where you're investing or spending money at the moment, and look at what you can reduce without it impacting your the business you're able to win, right? So, and the reason why this is important, again, although it's obviously you need to invest into your business in order to run it, right? So there's a limit to how much you can reduce your expenses versus there's no limit really to how much business you can bring in. If you're a business that operates at 25% profit margin, right? So that would mean, in theory, for you to make £1 profit, you need to generate £4, right? So or dollars, right? So every $4 that you generate, or four, whatever your local currency is, £1, dollar, euro, whatever of that is profit, right? So let's say that's 25% profit. That's what margins you operate at. That means that reducing your expenses by £1 is the same, or £1 or $1 or €1 is the same, or has as much impact on your cash flow as increasing your revenue by £4, right? So again, just to give it, I guess, increase those numbers just to make it more impactful, right? If you're operating at 25% profit, if you generate 40k in your business, 10k of that's profit. That means reducing your expenses by 10k over the course of the year is the same impact on your cash flow as you generating 40k, right? So it's a very, very important area to look, very, very important area to not neglect, because for a little bit of refinancing or reducing expenses, you can have a big impact on your cash flow. So I'm checking, does that make sense? Can we see yes or no in the chat box? And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the point you made there was a really good point about the return on investment. Any investment that you're making and anything that you're doing right now, there should be a return on investment. And Drew mentioned a few. If you've got consultants, if you're in a franchise operation, if you've got software, job boards, whatever it is that you're doing, have a look at it and ask yourself this question: what's the return on investment I'm getting on this? Whatever this is, even if it's a monthly subscription for a job board or some software or whatever, and at the time you thought, oh, that's a great idea, it means I can automate X, Y, Z. If you then look at it, you think, actually, as much as I'm automating X, Y, Z, perhaps reach out to candidates, it's not adding anything. There's no return on investment. I have no evidence here that this investment is giving me a return. One thing that one of Drew's favorite sayings is, let's work on data rather than drama. So base your decisions based on data. This is what I've invested. This is the return on investment I've got. Rather than, oh, my gut reaction is I'm getting a good return on it. Your gut reaction or drama or that kind of thing isn't going to serve you at all. So it's always got to be. So one thing I would encourage you to do is to go away and look at all your regular expenditure and look at each one and look at and calculate the return on the investment. And if you're not getting the right return on investment, I suggest you save your money, because that's all going to your bottom line then. Back to you, Drew.
Perfect. So we've got number one, cash in. Number two, cash out. So increase sales or reduce overheads. Number three, we want to increase speed of cash in. So increase speed of cash in. So in simple terms, right? Yes, we want to increase our sales, increase the revenue that we're generating. Yes, we want to reduce our expenses where we can. We also want to speed up how fast you're getting paid, right? So the quicker you can get, look at the invoices you've got out. I bet on this call, whoever's watching this, is watching the recording. You're probably, if you've been in business for any length of time, as in you actually currently working with clients, you probably have clients that owe you money, right? Obviously, you'd be probably a lot happier, a lot better off if that money was in your bank account versus theirs, right? So the faster we can get the faster we can get cash in, increase that speed, the better our cash flow is going to be. There's lots of ways you can do this, but one of the sort of key ones to look is your payment terms, right? So if you're working with clients now or working with clients in the past who currently owe you money, again, what can you do to speed up them paying you? So it could be payment terms, could be that actually it's not your payment terms, maybe they're paying late. So it could be your collections process that you have in place. Whatever it is, the faster we can get money in, that's going to improve cash flow, right? So if you're owed money right now and you look at your bank account and cash flow wise, it's not where you want it to be. Imagine now that all the money you're owed is actually in your bank account. That's the difference it would make on your cash flow. Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, a really good point there about cashing. And one of the things that many recruiters do, I hasten to add, and the clients that work with us do, is that, example, you pick up an assignment in month 1 of the year. So you do all the work in month 1. It maybe even lead over into month 2. The candidate then starts in month 3. And you probably don't get paid until month 4 or 5. What the hell? Now, we talked earlier about, one of the things that you have to do is take 100% responsibility for everything in your life, including your when you're getting paid. See, what smart recruiters are doing, that they will have completely different terms. Our clients will have completely different terms. So one of the things they would do, perhaps they get paid on retainer. So they get paid a percentage of the fee in month 1. And they raise the final invoice when the candidate accepts the offer. Is just one example. Another example a lot of our clients do is having only giving discount on their fees if the client agrees to pay within a certain period. So clients often ask for some sort of discount, and what they're doing there, by the way, the client's negotiating with you. And if they're negotiating, it's got to be win-win. So you negotiate with them. So both parties walk away thinking this is win-win. So if your normal terms are 27%, the client says, well, we normally only pay 25. Can you do 25? Why don't you ask this question? Well, if we do 25, do you agree to pay this invoice within 7 days? And if you don't pay it within 7 days, then we'll charge you our standard fee. Does that seem reasonable to you, Mr. Hiring Manager or Mrs. Hiring Manager? Interestingly, majority of hiring managers goes, yeah, that seems fair, because what you're doing there is you're negotiating. But many recruiters think that negotiating is the client asks for something, and in most cases, the recruiter says yes to whatever the client's asking for. But that isn't negotiating. That's the client saying, how high can you jump? And you saying, as high as you want me to. So, and this is just about taking responsibility. Actually, this is my money, this is my business, and I accept 100% responsibility. If I'm not getting paid on time, I'm taking responsibility for that, and I'm going to do something about it. That's one of the beauties, by the way, when you take responsibility, because the moment you take responsibility, you're saying, I can do something about it. The moment you say, yeah, but it's not me, it's the weather, it's the economic climate, you're now playing the victim, and what you're saying at some level, I can't do anything about it. That's why we advocate that you take 100% responsibility for everything in your life, including when you get paid, including your terms of business, including things such as quite a few of our clients, they will add admin expenses on their final invoice. Will all clients pay it? No, not all clients will pay it, but some will. But that admin expense of $500, $1,000 or pounds or whatever it is, that goes to your bottom line. But what we know is unless you ask for it, you never get it. Unless you know how to ask for a retainer, you'll never get it. But again, if you take responsibility for all of this, there's something you can do about it. But ultimately, what we're saying here, you're in control. This is down to you. Back to you, Drew.
Yeah, awesome. So again, just to recap, we've got cash in. So begin improving your business development, your marketing, your sales to bring more revenue in. We've got reduced overheads or expenses. We've got speed of cash in, one we just covered. And then number 4 is to slow down outgoing payments. That's on one hand, we want to speed up all the incoming payments. And as we're in the scale, we want to slow down all outgoing payments. Well, that is probably one of the most important keys to cash flow. Again, these are 2 areas that people never really look at, right? People often look at improving sales, they look at reducing expenses. They don't look at the speed of money going in and slowing down money going out, right? And these are sort of, even if you can't improve sales or you can't reduce expenses, if you can just do these 2 things, it would have a massive impact on your cash flow. Going back to what I was saying at the beginning, where the majority of businesses that we see fail, especially in recruitment, it's often down to cash flow rather than revenue. Often those businesses that fail or struggle, because of cash flow, they are actually owed money. And it's just a case of if they could have held on for an extra month, 2 months, whatever, they would have been fine. But they couldn't because they could have cash flow. Because one, they hadn't worked at speeding up the money coming in, and two, they haven't worked at slowing down the money going out. So again, I want to make sure that you are right. So there's lots of ways you can do this. And again, if you want more details, you go to makemoreplacements.com/start. We can have a one-on-one call and look at specifically how we can do this in your business. But just to give you a few ideas for now. If one of the ways you can speed up cash going in is to reduce your payment terms, so like lower your payment terms, so let's say 6 days, reduce it to 30 days. Again, you want to do the opposite to outgoing payments, right? So if you've got suppliers who you pay, team members that you pay commission to, is there any way that you can slow down those outgoing payments, right? So when are you paying commission, for example? Is there any way you can slow that down? When are you paying suppliers? Is there any way you can slow that down? Again, just two things to think about. Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's a real good one, especially the one about commission. We've all heard stories of unscrupulous recruiters, recruitment business owners employ unscrupulous recruiters who do things like create fictitious invoicing, and because the consultant gets paid monthly on the commission, the consultant creates these fictitious invoices, and the owner's paying out commission to the consultant because of that. But as Drew said, something you could do there is pay commission in arrears, pay commission every quarter, every 6 months or so. Pay commission when the invoice is paid, when the invoice is being paid by the client. I work for a very big recruitment firm called Computer People, and I think back now, it was such a flawed system because we simply had to raise the invoice and we got paid commission on the invoice that we raised. Now, if the client didn't pay the bill, the way it's set up in that organizer, it wasn't my problem. So I took no responsibility. If a client was a bad payer or never paid it at all, it made no difference to my life whatsoever because we got paid on the invoices raised. It's just a simple thing. All they had to do was say, well, actually, what we'll do is we'll pay you when the client pays the invoice. We'll pay you quarterly rather than I was paid a monthly in arrears as a recruiter. Admittedly, it was a long time ago, but that's what to do. And the same thing as Drew said with suppliers as well. I keep coming back to this, but take responsibility and saying, how can I manage my cash flow? So many business owners that we talk to, and they say things like, look, business on paper is really good. The challenge I have right now, Terry, is I haven't got that money in my bank account.
Yeah.
That's just a matter of cash flow. On paper, the business is doing fine. How many times have you as a business owner have had sleepless nights thinking, how the hell am I going to make the wage bill this month? Because my clients haven't paid the bill. But on paper, if you talk to your bank or whoever, they're going, yeah, things are great. But that's where businesses are failing because they haven't managed this cash flow. But that's down to you. You can go back to your supplier saying, I know we normally pay this every 30 days. I'd like to extend this to 40 days, 45 days. Again, think about it. Very rarely will they offer that to you. But if you ask, there is a chance that they will agree to that. But you've got to ask the question. Back to you, Drew.
Awesome. So speed up money coming in. So sorry, increase sales, reduce overhead, speed up money coming in, and slow down cash going out. There, the four, and then the final one is to increase margin, right? So again, this is one of the sort of most obvious things. I think all of these are obvious if you think about it. No one's really sits down and works on all five. And I promise you, if over the next 30 days work on all five, you'll see a massive turnaround in cash flow going forward, right? But number 5 is to increase margin. Often recruitment and search presenters don't really consider this at all. So they don't, it's rare that we speak to a recruitment search persona who is aware of their cost of delivery. So how much does it cost you to deliver on an assignment? How much expense are you putting in? The time, the software, everything. How much does it cost you to deliver an assignment? I think if you're not aware of that, we can't be aware of how profitable an assignment is. Can't be aware of what impact it's having if and when we reduce fees. So, for example, if it costs you £5,000 to fill an assignment, it doesn't make any sense taking on a job order or an assignment where the fee's only going to be £4,000. That's a non-profitable assignment, right? It's kind of like in the building trade. If it's going to cost you £20,000 in materials to build a I don't know, conservatory or whatever, but the client's only going to pay you £15,000. You're making a loss there. It doesn't make sense. It's not worth the work. Yes, sometimes you hear people say things like any business better than no business. It's not if you're making a loss, right? And I think if you don't know how much it's actually costing you to deliver on this business, you can't ever be sure what impact a fee reduction is having. And it's something we see time and time again, right? Because if people aren't good at business development, the only sort of selling point they have, and Terry touched on it earlier, is when a client pushes back on the fee or the terms, whatever. They put back on terms, or reduce the fee. Oh, your competitor's doing it for 20%. You're charging me 25%. Okay, we'll do it for 20%. Not because we don't have any other negotiating tools, right? That's the reason why you want to get better at business development. But your competitor might be able to afford to do it at 20% without it impacting their business too much. Maybe not. Maybe they don't know what their margins are either. But you need to know what yours are, most importantly. Secondly, as well, we've got reducing the fee and increasing the fee as well. You need to be looking for ways to increase your fee. The bigger that, if it costs you £5,000 to deliver on an assignment and your fee £6,000, it's a very small margin, right? There's only £1,000 there. But if actually you can now start getting 20k fees, but you can keep the cost the same, again, it's going to have a big positive impact on your margin and a massive impact on your cash flow. Someone checking, does that make sense? Give me a yes in the chat box. And Terry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, a couple of some really good points you've made there. And I think the key thing here is know your numbers, especially for you owners. If you've got a team of consultants, you should know what your fixed costs are. You should know what it costs per placement. Because as Drew rightly pointed out, often when we're talking to recruitment business owners and we ask them the question, do you know what it costs? What's your average cost per placement? And they say, well, no. And I say, well, look, do you know what your fixed costs are? They say, yeah, it's 5, 10, 20, 30,000. It's very easy to then work out what your cost per placement is. And I'm going to put my consultant's hat on. As a consultant, as a recruitment consultant, honestly, I couldn't care less about the fixed cost. I didn't care that much about the discount as well. Because a consultant, what I wanted to do is get that sale over the line. So a client says, well, Terry, here's an example. The salary is 100,000. My fee normally is 25%. The client says to me, can you reduce that by 10%? So can you make that 15%? As a consultant, I go, yeah, I guess so. But it isn't 10%, is it? Because previously I would have got 25,000. At 15%, I'm now going to get 15,000. There's a massive difference between the two. But as a consultant, I really didn't care because I was getting paid on the revenue, not on the margin. I did perm recruitment. I know it's different for contract, but I only got paid on the perm. But here's the kind of conversations you should be having with a hiring manager when they ask for 10% or 15% discount. Take the discount off the final fee. So let's say the fee is 25,000. Take 10% off the 25,000, not off the percentage that you charge. Because you can see there, that's nearly 60% discount. If you go down from 25 to 15%, that's nearly 60% discount. But you have to be aware of this and you have to know your numbers. You shouldn't be negotiating. The client says, can you do anything about the fee? You shouldn't be negotiating on your percentage. Negotiate the percentage on the final fee and negotiate. Sure, look, there's a possibility we can do something here if you agree to pay this invoice within 7 days, 14 days. Of course, on the understanding that if you don't pay that, then you'll be charged the standard fee. That seems reasonable to you, Mr. or Mrs. Hiring Manager. You'll either get a yes or a no. But that's negotiating, and that's knowing your numbers. But the majority of recruitment business owners don't know their numbers. So one of the big takers for here, we talked about this at the very beginning, it's about data rather than drama. Know your numbers. If you're using a third party or franchise, know your numbers. If you're discounting, know your numbers as what difference that's going to make to your bottom line. But unless you know these numbers, it's not going to work. But there is so many things you can do to increase your margins. And it's just simply taking responsibility. And the second part of this is then asking the question. Because the worst that can happen when you ask the question is the hiring manager says no. Well, at least you've done something about it. At least you've asked the question. Drew, can you just recap what we've covered today, please?
Yeah, so 5 keys to cash flow is 1, increase revenue, so increase business in. 2, want to reduce expenses. 3, want to speed up incoming payments to get paid faster. 4 is to reduce expenses. Reduce speed up incoming payments, slow down outgoing payments. And then lastly is to increase margin. That's it for today. Again, if you want to know more, again, a more detailed look at your business specifically, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/start, we can have a look at that for you. But yeah, Terry, anything else you want to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope you found this useful. If you found it useful, please feel free to share it with your colleagues. We do this completely free of charge. There's no cost, there's no obligation. Our sole aim is to help you generate more leads, make more placements, and earn more money. That's what we're here for. Just to remind you, we've got a Facebook group. Drew, can you put the link in for the Facebook group? We do a lot of these trainings in the Facebook group, so we'll put the link in a moment. Feel free to join our Facebook group. Again, there's no cost for that, and there's no obligation, but we give lots of tips, techniques, and strategies for growing your business. If that's something you're interested in.
If you just search Make More Placements on Facebook, you'll be able to find the group. So that was the link to that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Make More Placements on Facebook. Join our group. We've got some recordings from previous webinars we've done and trainings that we've done as well. So join us there. Until next time, folks, take care, take action, be relentless. Cheers, folks. Thanks a lot, Drew.